Everyone, and welcome to another movie review where we will be discussing Disney Plus's original film Hocus Pocus 2. Yes, obviously this is a sequel to the first Hocus Pocus that was theatrically released back in 1993, but of course we're going to go ahead and dive in. Now, does it stand up to the original film? Is it a good sequel? Well, sit back, relax, and we'll go ahead and discuss it.
Hello there, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and children.
Now, right off the bat, I just want to say, besides the Sanderson sisters, as well as Billy Butcherson, they are the original cast that came back, as well as it seems like the original film crew as well. Because the original one, the first one, was directed by Kenny Ortega. The second one, this one, is of course directed by Anne Fletcher. Now, when it comes to the screenplay, when it comes to story, there's only one person that actually came back for this, and it's David Kirshner, who was part of the story development with the actual second film. Now, does it hold up to the first one? Not really. In all essence, the first one is a classic. Whether if you grew up on it, like how I did and the generation before me grew up with that movie and now showcasing to their kids, or even now who are watching it as kids and are liking it too. Because let's face it, it didn't do well in the box office as, of course, the originals and a lot of the Disney movies did back in the early 90s. But it still gained a cult following, similar to how the Boondock Saints has. Now, here comes the second one. Story development is okay. As far as the progression of the story, it's fine. It's exactly what you would think from a Disney Plus exclusive. It's exactly what you think from a Disney original direct-to-DVD or direct-to-movie type situation, kind of like King of Thieves for Aladdin. Now, did this movie have great moments? Yes, absolutely. But the only issue that I strongly saw in this film was the fact that where the first one was more serious with a little comedic vibe to it, this one seemed a little bit more comedic vibe to it with a hint of a little seriousness to it. Not only that, but in the original one, of course, the characters are evil witches who wants to suck the souls of the little kids, obviously painting them as a villain. This one, it kind of paints them as a villain, but also to the point where a lot of people are, they like them. They think that they're heroes. They think they're kind of humanizing them in a way where the first film did not. And my personal belief shouldn't, just because of the fact that that's who they are. They are villains. People like them because they are villains, not so much the fact that you made them more humanizing or, of course, glorified in that stature. And, of course, at the end of it, kind of a redemption in a way. They try to do a redemption where it just doesn't fit. But in the first film, you knew exactly who they are. You knew exactly that they're evil and you needed to get rid of them. Now, one thing I did enjoy about this movie, though, is the backstory. They gave a little bit more of a backstory about how they were, kicked out of Salem, for one. And the other thing, too, is, of course, their kind of teacher. You do get introduced to their teacher in a way where, of course, this film, right off the bat, it's one of the girls has magical abilities, which you don't understand why. She just has them, apparently. Where in the beginning, Sanderson sisters, they did stuff. They did, of course, they had the spell book, for an example. They were introduced to the spell book. They were doing things where in the beginning it made sense. Not so much for the new generation. Now, here is where the spoiler warning comes into play, because there are some spoilers to this. So if you don't want to hear it, then of course come back to it when you finish it, or if you don't care, here we go. As far as spoilers go, the songs that they had in the very first one actually made sense. There's a reason for the song, as far as the I Put a Spell on You, because they're in a club. This one, it has two musical scenes to it, to the point where in the very beginning, you kind of wonder, okay, are they going to do a musical with this? And then find out that no, it was just a stage, basically. It was just a song, which didn't really fit in there, to the point where my wife thought that, of course, it was a musical. But later on during the actual movie, they do go on stage, they do a singing number where it fits more in that realm of how it should have been set up. Now, Billy Butcherson, you also find out that, of course, he kissed Winifred Sanders just once, and then he was actually in love with Sarah, which, as far as that story goes, it has humor to it, yes, but at the same time, you kind of went in thinking that he had a relationship with Winifred, and because she's so evil and sadistic that she, of course, killed him, sewed his mouth shut because he cheated on her with Sarah. That was more of a heavy tone for Winifred. This one just seems like it's a joking manner because, again, this is what it seems this movie is about. And there's not a lot of Billy Butcherson in this movie, actually. You get introduced to him about the same time frame that the first one does, but also you barely see him at all. And most of the time, he's just headless, really, you just see his head. But overall, it was a fun movie. And, it is a movie that we will go back to and watch multiple times, and you never know. It may grow on a lot of individuals, but overall, it just felt like this movie didn't know what it wanted to be. At first, a musical. Second time, seriousness, where you're like, okay, this is exactly how the first one feels. And then more of a comedic value. So really, it just felt like this movie didn't know what it wanted to be. But those are my thoughts. What did you guys think? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? In the comments, be sure to follow us on all social platforms, as well as check out the merchandise link below, and we'll see you next time.